Okay, hello dear all. I'm here to give you feedback on your new versions and documents that you sent me. Today is September 7th. So in general terms, what you're sending me is the feedback on the intervention and maybe the instruments, maybe this part that is the one that you are including. However, there are some comments in between that I want you to read, and initially please do not forget that though we are in any other further sections, the plan is that you actually keep checking the document. Well, for example, what I found today is that an explanation about the long-term and two-way discussion in the framework should be described in detail from the beginning so people can actually understand when you mention it later. What else I commented here? It seems that there is, let me see here. So I started giving you comments on the pedagogical intervention, and I want you to make clear the difference between the data analysis, data gathering stage and the pedagogical intervention and implementation. Remember that this pedagogical intervention is exactly the moment when you are training students on the new strategy, when you are giving them input and you make them practice the strategy. So I found like some ideas that are not connected over there, so probably it's because you are misunderstanding the concept. The other thing is that, well, I guess that this section, little by little, will be rewritten or complemented better, because there are things that are still not clear, not valid, and need support. Especially, for example, when you have certain ideas, remember that we need support, and probably that will come later when you have the diagnosis. So here you have lots of comments. I found that I don't know if it was the easiest way to make it, or if it was because you were totally convinced that these are the stages, or is the only one that you found that you only make reference to Ross. And indeed, Ross is not cited in the theoretical framework, and I think that we should consider this author to support the issue of self-assessment, since he presents a lot of interesting ideas. So I would like you to spend a little bit of Ross and how he comes to play in this research, since it was just included from one day to other. So either you complement the theoretical framework, so it gives doors to actually understand these stages you are doing and you are having here. I don't know again if you are actually aware of what the stages mean, and it seems from time to time that you are rushing, and in this rush you are not thinking. So I don't know, this is a perception that I have today. So my suggestion is, what is a pedagogical intervention? It's the moment that you actually work with the students. I want it to work in different sense, and I think that I listed in my previous feedback. One, that you make them aware of the importance of self-assessment to improve speaking and grammar and accuracy, that is what you want to improve. Second, there must be moments of practice in which one's students do certain rehearsals, and based on that, you can actually see how they are working with the strategy. And of course, you give them more feedback, more input on how to make it, and the final, let's say, practice that you have here. So let's say that this approaching the constructs and getting on the instruments, so I don't know if it is the constructs, because what we are actually doing, and when you talk to students, is not about constructs. You don't talk about constructs with the students. What you do is constructs, let me write that, construct with students. So what you do is to make students familiarize with the concept, familiarize with the strategy, because in this moment that is the strategy that we are actually using. The other one, and I would say that in this familiarize with the strategy, is familiarize with the processes, with the instruments, with the uses, with the importance. So all of these is part of this stage number 1, that is like a getting aware of the strategy. I would say that one. This one that you're calling getting on with the instruments, I don't see that as a clear stage. So have to think about that. This one, working on the task, again. So let me just go into each one. So again, my comment here, you are including here a section that seems to be the diagnosis, so this part doesn't belong to the pedagogical intervention. The pedagogical intervention is the pedagogical moment in which once you are teaching students. Okay, I think that this initial stage that is becoming students aware is the one that corresponds to the PowerPoint presentation, which is something that has to be commented later. And let's say that you make the connection with the IELTS, with the grammar accuracy, so that's a clear stage. What I probably disagree is with the name. This one about getting on with the instruments, it seems that you want to give students like certain, let's say, moments for students initially to see how the videos can help, to get familiar with the tool they have to use, I guess that anywhere, and with the records in this moment, the journal, etc. But still, I don't see this section clear. The other one is working on the task, and what I see is that students are doing certain tasks that is not clear if they will be done in or outside the class. And they will, the process that will be done is they record, they self-evaluate, they send you that material, you compare, and this is it. The question is, what happens between the moment that students self-record and students self-evaluate and they send you that? Will there be any discussion? Will there be any, let's say, analysis of what they did, the problems they found, etc.? So be aware of this, because it's not a matter of sending students to self-record and self-evaluate. It's a matter of giving them the support they need so they can actually improve. There is this section that is contrasting assessments. I guess that is what you mean. The teacher's assessment, teachers and students. I think that is the full name. So that's why I'm believing that you have here a little bit of quotation marks, sorry, a laziness in the selection of the stages. So probably what you want to do here is to contrast what they send you with you, but the result is, okay, you will have certain information, but what will happen? Will there be, I see that there must be any in between the stage number 4 and number 3, in between a stage to evaluate the strategy with the students. Okay, that's one thing. The other one is the final product reception. It seems that it's going to be a final activity, but again, there is something that, for my taste, I think that is missing. That is this part in which ones you can actually discuss with the students. I have this chart that is not referenced before, this table better, that is not referenced before. And again, this one has to correspond exactly to the one that we have before. So I have also my recommendations here, because between 3, 4, and 5, that are some tasks, well, what is happening in between is not that the students go, record, and send you. It's to actually that you will intervene. And what is going to be your intervention? Will you have permanent discussions with the students? Will you have some individual conferences? Will you send them a video as I'm doing right now? So what will be the process in between? So that might change a little bit the timeline, but I think that if you present just in the next couple of days those changes, I think that I will be able to just approve them and you can make them. I have here some comments regarding your consent letter. I'm going to send you one, and even there is a section that is missing, that is in the one that students actually say, yes, I understand what you are telling me. So that's why I give you my consent. So I'm writing that in English for your translation. Be careful with the mistakes, because now I see a lot of language mistakes in English and in Spanish. So, well, to be improved, but let's avoid the speed, but let's make things okay. I think that now with the instruments we are clear, and let's work. You are not talking about piloting them. I don't know if you actually pilot them. Did you pilot them as suggested? Because the most important is that these definitions or these criteria actually make sense for students. I think that you included most of the changes that I suggested. In this one, it's important that you actually define the process to deliver. Define the process to deliver, because it will take a lot of time from your sides to have these these answers. In this one, I changed, or I suggest comments by explain your answer. So if they select yes, no, explain the answer. I would suggest here a table, and also think about the way to deliver. Will you give copies to students? Will you collect them every day? So how will you make it? Is it going to be something digital? A column, yes, and a column. So you have to think how it would be faster and better for you to actually analyze this information, right? Okay, that is regarding that. Regarding the presentation, I also have a lot of comments. And again, my impression is that, yeah, you are finding wonderful resources, but you are not thinking about your students. So you took this one from the Ministry of Education of, well, any place in the world. But what I don't see, New Zealand, 2009, but I don't see any work in adapting this information to your real students. So guys, you know your students, you know if this information will be understandable for them, or if it is going to be a little bit tough. I found it a little bit tough because it is full of definitions. It is full of, let's say, pedagogical teaching, let's say, definitions that I don't think students should go into them. Part of my suggestion is that personalize this one. So make it for your institutions, for Colombo, for Instituto, whatever. So for your institutions, even the presentation. So it's important that you have a cover page with the name of your school, the name of your course, a title for it, like training on, and connect this with the stages of your, let's say, research and pedagogical intervention. So even a title is worth. Less wordy. I think that it is too much words, and I think it will take a lot of time. And probably it won't leave a lot of ideas to your students. Consider the format, and I was even thinking, since you will be the video guys, I don't know to what extent a video that you produce can be useful. So you can actually talk to students meanwhile they watch the video in your class, or they watch the video before and after they comment. So something like that, because let's say that we have to play with the same toys. The same toys for you are videos, our feedback, our self-reflection, our grammar and accuracy, oral speaking, etc. So I don't see that you are combining all of these elements here. I don't know the purpose you want to have in here. It seems that you want to introduce the issue of self-assessment, but there are some slides that are actually talking to teachers. So in that moment, what I believe is that you are not considering your students. So all the comments will be here. There are some slides that I have my concerns, these ones, because you are not going to actually use this kind of rubrics. So let's go to the ones that you will be actually using. And there are some exercises here or anywhere that is about writing, and indeed writing is not part of ours. Here, this one. So are you going to use peer assessment, I don't think so. So my suggestion is totally analyze that. And the other thing that